2023, it has been said that the golden age of artificial intelligence is underway. And maybe it could mean a lot for AI companies looking to secure funding. But what about companies who are looking to leverage AI in their products, services, and operations? What are the global conversations about AI by companies looking like? Are there certain challenges and opportunities that present themselves into integrating AI into a company? And what does it really take for AI to foster a culture of innovation in companies? And what does the future really hold? To break it all down, I have with me Neeraj Sharma, Managing Director at Accenture. Before we got into this podcast, Neeraj and I made a pact that today's conversation are essentially views expressed are personal only in that range. So Neeraj is very, very clear and has made this a very pointed kind of request that Shrija, today what I'm going to speak, and I want to be as freewheeling and candid as possible. So whatever conversation and intellect and wisdom that he has gathered over the ages does not necessarily represent the views of his organization. These are his personal views. Neeraj, thank you for talking to us. And I'm looking forward to a very meaningful conversation, a freewheeling conversation on artificial intelligence on this Rising Tech podcast. Neeraj, let me sort of begin by asking you this, that there are various waves that keep happening in the VC slash private tech space, right? 3 years back, it was perhaps Bitcoin. 2 years back, it was Metaverse. And I think it's also kind of very sort of self serving to VCs because they have to keep playing the role of thought influencers, keep playing out these new narratives, because ultimately you need new avenues to keep investing in and show that the next unicorn, decacorn can come from that because they seem to have enough of the main plain vanilla tech, so to speak. And now this is artificial intelligence. But the chatter around AI seems to be remarkably distinct from Bitcoin or Metaverse, so to speak. Both these really began with huge skepticism, but AI has begun with a sense of opportunity, has begun with this massive conversation coming from the West, people who are deep experts in the tech space who actually have warned people that what could be the dangers if this monster is actually unleashed. Because AI has not really come about and come after the menial jobs, it has really come after generative AI, so to speak, has come after all of us, the journalists, the content creators, the imaginative people, the thinkers, so to speak, who used to take so much pride in what we bring to the table. So I really want to understand from you that what is it to say that this time AI is not another metaverse or Bitcoin, and really it is once in the generational or once in a lifetime opportunity. Yes, Neeraj.
See, is AI a fad? I don't think your question is phrased that way, but a lot of people ask me this: Is AI also the next fad? Because Bitcoin was a fad. After that, Metaverse was a fad. I would say, look, when travel must have been invented. I mean, even before air travel was invented, the Wright brothers took their first flight. Um, if you went to someone and said, "Look, people will be able to fly on their own," someone would have said you're crazy. And then when suddenly the Wilbur Wright and Oliver Wright brothers, when they took the first flight, suddenly a hype must have been created about the ability to fly. But it took a while before commercial air travel became possible. So there is a hype cycle that gets followed for everything, right? Initially people don't believe. Suddenly they see a proof of it happening. Suddenly expectations rise dramatically, and then but the expectations don't meet the working reality. Suddenly there is a lull, and then after a while people figure out how to use the technology. The technology itself becomes better. That's when people really start being productive. AI is going through that hype cycle right now. My belief is right now we are at the peak of that hype cycle, but the cycle will be much smaller in the case of AI because the use cases, the usable use cases of AI are far more demonstratable right now. In fact, I am a media and entertainment guy, so let's start with a little bit of an entertainment for a moment, just to prove the point. Just let me give you a bit of a demo on what I'm saying here. had written the lyrics 10, maybe 12 years ago. I created a melody for the song then. I wasn't happy with the melody I had created. I had been reaching out to musicians to collaborate with me and create a song. I couldn't land with something which I liked. And now there, this is all, by the way, AI done. The whole song, the composition, the production, the voice, the singing is all AI.
What
Just
are you
lyrics are done.
saying? It's sung
One
by
song
AI.
sung by AI. And now AI has reached that level when someone like me, who's not a professional musician, I'm reasonably accomplished as a lyricist, but not a professional musician. If I want to now create with an assistant, I don't have to depend on someone else to make this, right? So these are the kind of use cases which are real now, which are possible now. And therefore the potential of AI, especially generative AI. See, AI itself is a field which is maybe 30, 40, 50 years old. Generative AI now, even that is has been going on for a while, but it is now available. The tools and tech is now available in the hands of ordinary consumers, and that is why I think Gen AI will take a faster curve than Metaverse did. To create this song, I did not need any equipment. For Metaverse, I need those headsets which are expensive, which are bulky. I mean, after 30 minutes, you start getting bored with those. Even Metaverse also, I think, will have a second wind coming to it very soon with things like Apple Vision Pro becoming more popular and then at some point more affordable. But Gen AI today, you don't need any new devices to do this. With my laptop, with my mobile phone, I can create this song, which by all means is probably as good as as something you would listen to on Spotify, right? And that's the difference between Gen AI and other technologies in terms of its accessibility to consumers, and which is why I'm quite upbeat about Gen AI.
This is like the music that you shared. One could understand that has really given this tools democratize creativity. Like you mentioned, it is with everybody right now. But talking really about from the business model point of view, you said that they are demonstrable use cases now for AI. What really are those? And what really are you seeing across the swath of companies?
Okay. See, what are the things which generative AI can do well? See, intelligence is a very, very broad term, right? Um, there are many different types of intelligences, and even not every human is intelligent in the same way, right? Some are very good at math, some are very good at understanding direction, some are very good at understanding emotion from someone else. Some people are very good at learning new languages. So similarly, AI, even for artificial intelligence, intelligence itself is not one thing. Intelligence is many things. Of those many things, what currently AI does really well, in my opinion, are number one, natural language processing in English language. Natural language processing in English language is one area where AI is doing really well. And second is quantitative analysis, where AI has also improved capability substantially. AI is not good at reasoning. AI really is not intelligent. AI is basically doing pattern recognition, right? So current state of AI is not a very intelligent AI. It is very good at certain specific tasks, and those areas are where companies are using it very well. For example, when this call started, I got a prompt that there is an AI summarizer for this conversation. So those use cases are readily available. Now, of course, if I start speaking in Tamil or Hindi or maybe Bangla, the AI summaries will be bad. But in English language, the AI summaries are going to be pretty good. Report writing, the mundane tasks of authoring are being done by AI very well. Therefore, chatbots in customer service are being used very well and now much better, because now if you provided good enough training data, it can have a real conversation with the user, not just give some defined examples and answers. So those are two areas. Anything which requires natural language processing in English language, and anything which requires quantitative analysis. These are two areas where AI is doing really well. Another area where AI is doing very well is anything requiring image processing, image generation, image processing. So whether it is creatives, ad creatives creation, whether it is just generating, your blog posts, visuals for your Instagram profile, etc. That's another area where AI is doing well and companies can use it. I mean, stock photo companies will have a hard time justifying their existing business model.
Tell me one thing, Neeraj. You use two words, natural language processing and quantitative analysis. If you were to explain about these two things to somebody who doesn't really understand this, right? How would you explain that? I'm a
Okay.
promoter running a steel company, 2000 crore revenue. Uh, what happens if I don't use AI? Okay, AI might be fantastic and great, but are you really telling me that AI can sort of make me run out of business? I mean, I'm producing steel, right? I mean, I still have my set of dealers. I still have my set of end consumers who are buying from me. So how is AI coming and impacting my business? And it's a multi-generational business.
Hmm.
2000 crore revenue. I'm some Marwari sitting in Calcutta. Why should I care about AI? Tell me.
Got it. I am not from the steel industry, so purely as a consumer, I'm just going to run my brain there and tell you where all can, let's go play along with the steel example only. Um, what is my cost of production today and why is it high? That's question number one. I can do that analysis myself, but AI can also do that analysis for me better and faster and tell me that look, there is this XYZ event that has happened globally. So there's a volcano eruption that has happened in Indonesia, which is disrupting the seaways of from the ships coming from Indonesia towards India will now take longer, and therefore suddenly the supply for steel will become the raw material for steel will become shorter, and therefore you will have a cost impact. So please find alternative routes for securing your supply for raw material, and these are the three areas from where you can get raw material. That's something which AI can do today. Who's buying from me at what price points and why are these the price points? Can I optimize my sales channels better? Those are things which AI can tell you today if you provided the right base data. So a steel manufacturer, yes, you will not go out of business today. You will not go out of business in the 2 3 years because I'm assuming that your distribution network will be far more powerful than what a startup can do in that area. But yes, for a steel manufacturer, generative AI can definitely help you be more efficient faster than what a human will be able to do it for you.
And what about media companies? And let's talk about something which you dabble in the area of for your living also. Media companies globally are starving, right? Big, small, of course, there are some outliers. Now there's the rise of the Substack-led journalism, right? The individual creators who are setting up franchises and subscription-led model. Forever, it has really been subsidized by advertising model, corporate sponsorship. Now, post 2024, if there were to be a new age media company in the age of generative AI, how would that look like? What would the attributes of that company would be? And how will be different from, say, a traditional behemoth like, say, an NY Times or Wall Street Journal? Can the news corps of the world be disrupted with generative AI?
The simple answer is they're already being disrupted, right? All news media companies are struggling to find feet simply because information as a whole has become a commodity, right? So information is a commodity. The who, what, when, where of the journalism part is something which, I mean, I find it on Twitter faster than I find it on my favorite news platform. The why, the how, the so what, I probably get a little bit better in the established news media form. But even that, as you said, the Substack and Puck and some of those platforms give me far more nuanced analysis and insights than established news media companies usually do. I think generative AI is going to completely change the way the content supply chain works for media companies. Uh, think about this, just this example that I did, right? The song I played. Mm, if I were, thankfully, I have a reasonably good job which I like. But if I were a young man, currently unemployed, reasonably creative, sitting in a room waiting for an opportunity to find a job and have nothing else to do, what can I do to earn money? Let me just start creating one new song in a different genre every day and start uploading on YouTube. And then suddenly, over a period of time, I will have enough content available to start monetizing just on YouTube. I can be a one man content production, music content production company, right? The day that happens at scale, and today, yes, it's still formative. I mean, for example, the song I played had some issues in it. The song was supposed to be called Asharome. Ashar means the plural for share. That is a word which generative AI did not understand, so it started substituting that word with Khayalome, because Khayalome is something which generative AI understands. So yes, it killed the vibe of the song for me a little bit. But in the world of TikTok, where attention spans are really low, does really anyone care whether the song was called Asharome or Khayalome? Other than me, probably no one cares, right? So this is the kind of content that will start coming in very, very fast. What we currently don't have is AI generated stars. I mean, today the big appeal of the legacy media world, the established media world, is access to stars. But tomorrow we'll have Gen AI created stars. There are already Gen AI created influencers who are on today on Instagram. I mean, if I'm not on Instagram, but if you're on Instagram, you will probably currently already be followed by at least half a dozen Gen AI bots.
But Neeraj, I'll tell you my personal viewpoint on this. And just having spent a little bit of time in the media industry and being a business journalist and being observer of businesses, maybe not much as you. Whenever something becomes a commodity, the value of the real stuff or the gold in that space just becomes higher. And when you will see the tsunami of this crap content from AI coming in, what you mentioned, that this Gen AI influencers and the minute content gets commoditized, it's exactly and just maybe at that point of time, those who have set the gold standard will be all the more appreciated, because this is what technology does and has always done. It has commoditized every segment it has touched. And the minute it has done that, and going by the Moore's law, the cost of technology adoption just becomes lower and lower. Just start appreciating and valuing things which are gold standard in that space much, much more. So, my personal belief is that the minute this crap content of AI just keeps becoming mainstream, people will start actually valuing traditional media or print more and more, because
See
you
the
will, because ultimately the information you need, right? The trust factor, there'll be so much trust deficit with AI coming in that you would want to see something tangible in your hands. You would want to see something tangible with the masthead of an NY Times or Wall Street Journal or some Substack writers there. I think it's golden era for Substack writers for sure, where where you are putting your faith in an individual and over compared to a large organization. So I think, in my view, this content coming from Gen AI is actually helping those who are doing solid work. That is my view.
Yeah, I completely agree. See, Gen AI is just a tool. What you use a tool for is up to you. I see here that one of the underlying assumptions you have made here is there's an implicit assumption in your statement that the content created by Gen AI is largely crap, but the content created by established media is not crap. I would argue that 90% of the content created by established legacy media is also crap.
It
It's
is. It
it's not
is.
high
It
quality,
is.
right? So therefore, what you do with the tool is up to you. So those who will use the tools properly and create high quality content will obviously find a premium for their content. And I would pay more attention to an individual putting their name behind a piece of content rather than a big brand saying, look, here is a piece of content, let me promote the hell out of it and make my money, and then let's live for one more quarter.
That is a point well taken. I definitely feel that generative AI will really democratize media in sort of big way. And the way we have seen decentralization happen in banking, in consumer tech, right? The direct to consumer brands now, which are becoming so big, people trust these D2C, the direct to media channels, be it the onset of Substack or this individual creator economy platforms, be it by way of YouTube or Instagram, where you have this entire media behind a person. I think definitely that trust quotient is getting higher and higher. And Gen AI will play a much larger role in aiding that. So I think that point is very well taken. And I just feel maybe I'm in the right direction, the right space at that point of time. Uh, Neeraj, moving forward from media, talk about some of the new. Yes, Neeraj. Yes.
The reason
You
I
aren't
am
audible.
talking,
Yeah.
oh, am I audible now?
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason I am talking to you is because of exactly that reason, that you are an individual who's putting your name and credibility behind a brand. You're building your own brand around news. That is the exact reason why I'm talking to you. So yes, sorry for the interruption. Please continue with your
That
question.
is so sweet of you, Neeraj, and that is so well said. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to you for that. And I'm having a very meaningful conversation with you. I'm really enjoying it. Tell me a little more about the use cases of Gen AI in other sectors. What really do you think that where VCs would again, it's another gold rush that we are seeing in AI right now? Because VCs now uh, first when the cashless affordability, the BNPL that we have seen the fintech space, everybody sort of went behind that. And look at what really has happened to that space, how it has really ballooned, especially in the fintech space. Let's talk really about the AI gold rush that is happening. Companies are becoming unicorns again in 4 to 5 months. Again, the music had started. We've all seen this play out earlier also. What do you think would be the mistakes that again VCs are doing with AI, putting so much money too soon? What really would be the guiding lens according to you? What should be?
The guiding lens, according to me, should be, see, again, VCs, I don't know what VCs invest for, because sometimes the investment big VCs make just don't make sense for me. But they are smarter. They have made more money than I have to. So on the scoreboard, they are winning compared to me. So therefore, I will not tell them what to do. But if I were to put my money behind, an AI based company, I will definitely apply the lens of whether this company, whatever this company is building, whether it is monetizable or not. That is the number one lens I will apply. See, the problem with AI today is that AI is a very, very volatile space. You don't know in which direction it will change. You don't know whether what you're building will just completely get become redundant because of something which one of the bigger players has just done. Right. So because AI is such a volatile space, anyone who's in the business of building, AI-based products, I will say build monetizable. Now, how do you build monetizable? You either build something small, you either build something very small so that your investment in building it is small and you can quickly monetize it even at low price points and get out of it, or get out or expand. Right. So, for example, this song generation thing. I mean, it cost me less than 10 hours to create this one song because this is the first time I was doing this. Maybe I should be able to do one song in 2 hours flat, and from a money perspective, I think it costed me some 8 rupees or something, right, to use the cloud capability and all. So someone, I mean, if this song gets sold for 1 lakh rupees, I mean, on an investment of 2 hours and 8 rupees, look at the ROI. So either build something small, or second is you can build something proprietary. Build something on top of a data which only you have, because the general data is there with everyone, right? So what OpenAI is doing, the Bard will also, or Gemini will also do the same, or third company will also do the same. So build something proprietary, and especially in the Indian context, build Indian language based AIs. That's something where money can potentially be put. Third is you can possibly build something which is safe. So build with a, see, there is a fear factor around AI. There is a concern that AI can do all sorts of manipulation. So if you can somehow inbuild safety into your product, that will give you some sort of a valuation or a discrete market advantage which you can monetize. Or four, build something which is accessible. By accessible, I mean, see, look, a lot of tech fails because people don't know at mass level. People don't know how to use it. Today, let's say everyone is talking about SMBs as the next wave of advertisers, right? So everyone is focusing on SMB advertiser. Today, it is very easy to create a creative using generative AI. Very easy to do it. I mean, you and I, we can do it very easily. And so one of the problems for SMB advertisers is they don't know how to create a creative. Today, Gen AI gives you the capability to create a creative, but even that is not being adopted because a lot of people are averse to using that kind of technology. So how do you simplify the workflow so that it becomes as easy as using, let's say, WhatsApp or Facebook? And then if you can do something like that, so the power is in the workflow. The power is not in the underlying tech, because someone else will probably build that tech for you. But if you can simplify that front end, then it becomes immediately monetizable.
Very well put. It's almost like the Canva for SMBs, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Canva for SMBs using GenAI, which I guess Canva should already be doing.
Maybe they're already working on that. We just gave her like a business case here. So if you were to let's do some reverse pitching here. If you were to sort of give two startup ideas in the field of Gen AI, what would those really be? Maybe two which you think are really missing from the current scene. What would that be? I do feel a lot of what you said in terms of the local language processing has already begun to happen. Bhavesh Agrawal's Krutrim is already at it, and I think he's already the first unicorn in the AI space. Don't know what is the future ahead though. And I do know some of the natural language processes companies are doing it, chatbots, which are already sort of out there. In fact, there's also an interesting company that we sort of had them on a podcast, and that person said that suppose they want to hire me, suppose you want to hire Neeraj and a company, so you can hire 10 Neeraj. So they will make something called Neeraj.ai, and you, Neeraj, the human Neeraj, will actually get the royalty out of Neeraj.ai. So that's another way that people are making your AI clones, feeding all your uh, cognitive abilities, your behavioral data, and everything, and creating your clones, and then passing it on in a marketplace like an artificial Naukri for AI clones of human workers. So that is already underway. So technology is also advancing. And we were very intrigued by that podcast and how they're actually doing it, and they already have some clients. They already like sort of Series B funded also. So if you were to give like some examples, and it could be as radical as it is because Gen AI has actually made radical possible. What do you think would really be some two startup ideas?
You're such an amazing interviewer. You asked me a question and you gave me the answer as well. Those are the two ideas I want to invest in. Not necessarily in Krutrim, but anyway, Indian language or non-English Gen AI models, if anyone is building, are going to be very, very important because English language LLMs have proven what LLMs can do. It's just that a large majority of the world is not English speaking. And therefore, if someone can do non-English language LLMs, they are definitely worth investing in. This idea, by the way, this cloning of people is you would have seen how many times at our jobs we have said, I need 10 such persons, and now someone can actually do it. That would be really, really cool. I don't know how much training it will require, but that's actually an interesting idea. Uh, in the AI space again, right now, anyone who's focusing on that building workflows layer, I am not I am not looking for core tech because core tech will get developed by people who have very, very deep pockets. And those who have very, very deep pockets do not require this basic VC money. They don't require, they'll require billions of dollars of funding, which someone will give them. But people who are in the startup space, they should focus more on building workflow led products. Because if you can simplify access to the core technology, you still have a game to win there. You'll probably not be valued at billions of dollars, but you'll be able to at least find some investors and monetizability.
I like this thought process of workflow led products. So tell me one thing now, Neeraj. We have seen in the edtech space or some of those areas, it's really been like the winner takes it all kind of a market philosophy, right? It's and VCs have always gone behind this that Shrija, no matter what the burn rate is, you become the number one or the number two in that player, and we'll get there. It has to be subsidized by board approved burn rates, and that has been the philosophy. And some of it is actually paying off now because Uber, for the first time after so much of burn rate, has actually had a full profit year. So maybe that model of blitz scaling is also sort of coming into its own and perhaps showing some results. For AI, do you think the lion's share has already been taken by ChatGPT, which is OpenAI? And what is really left on the table is breadcrumbs, and people are sort of taking that because can one really compete with big tech? I mean, what really are we talking here? Because please understand the cost of AI production is also phenomenal. It's not like that the chip cost is so high. So I think the 80%, the core is perhaps taken, and the 20%, which is the creator economy part of AI, is perhaps left, in my view, because maybe and just maybe open because chat gpt is not talking about a chat gpt store where you and I can monetize by creating apps and all. So the operating system of AI, if Google were an operating system, it's owned by Google. If AI were an operating system, it's already owned by Microsoft now through OpenAI. And do you think that big tech has taken the lion's share and only the remaining is left for startups to scramble amongst themselves?
Actually, both things are parallelly possible. Yes, I mean, it's very, very difficult to compete against big tech. I mean, which is why all these major AI models are coming from corporations, not from educational institutions. The biggest academia in the world, the most well-funded academia in the world, does not have the coffers to invest into the kind of tech compute, etc., required to make some of these LLMs happen. Right. So yeah. So that point is valid. That big tech obviously has a major advantage there. But whatever is left, I wouldn't call it breadcrumbs because there is an opportunity to expand the market substantially. The startups will be focusing on problems which are today being solved in a very inefficient manner. So the big tech is now essentially the infrastructure, but the consumer facing the front end, the client facing conversation will be done by the startups. And therefore I do think that yes, big tech will obviously make the most money from this. Yet there is a significant space for startups to build products which can be monetized, and anything which is monetizable should find investment.
Let's draw a map for AI. If AI were a new country being built, right? So, and if we were to talk about the pipelines and the infrastructure, so that is taken off by Microsoft, Google, Amazon. And what happens if so? If we were to draw that country, the map, how will the map look like? Let's just draw it. Maybe like let's visualize the map. How is that going to look like?
Hmm.
What are the opportunity sets in that map for startups?
See, okay, it's a tough question. Let me try and interpret. So you're saying, let's say there's a new country which is getting set up, right? And
Mhm.
that country is called the AI world. Now, any new country to succeed sustainably requires, of course, certain amount of infrastructure, requires institutions which govern that infrastructure.
Mhm.
Not just the infrastructure, but also how the country will operate. It requires individuals who are then incentivized to contribute to the building of that economy, right? So the infrastructure part, in my mind, is the big tech. They are providing the core foundation for what Gen AI can do. The institutions which will govern and regulate obviously are, I mean, government should play that role. EU seems to be taking that step ahead of everyone else, as they usually do. But and by the way, the corporates will also form consortia, or at least standards boards which will play some role in governing. So that has happened in past for all other techs. It will also happen for AI. It's already happening, by the way. Then this whole individuals will be incentivized to keep the economy driving, is essentially the smaller companies, the use case based companies in the AI space, which are going to be driving the growth of the country. The growth of the country will not get driven just by infrastructure or just by regulators. It will get driven by individual entrepreneurs who build businesses which are consumed by the citizens of that country, and therefore the individuals, the entrepreneurs will be disproportionately rewarded for making those efforts, but the citizens will also equally benefit from that growth. So that's similar space I will see. The third part, the individual entrepreneur space, is startups building use case based products.
Let's sort of towards the end of this conversation, and I think we sort of kind of got a little sort of detract from that. You were spending a little bit of time on natural language processing and quantitative analysis of data, especially in the context of AI. Explain that in terms of the use cases or the opportunity set, especially to somebody who does not really understand those spaces very, very clearly, somebody who comes from a non-tech background.
Okay. Let's start with quantitative analysis first. Okay. When I was studying engineering, teaching SQL was one of the big things. So you had to learn, and I mean, everyone knew it, but it was simple enough. But still, everyone was taught, look, this is what a table structure looks like, and this is how you write an SQL query to find an answer. And those who could write very complex queries were very much in demand at that point in time. Excel came in, a lot of that became easier, and Excel became more powerful. And then there were other tools which came in, which made the visualization of all of that information even better. Now there are quantitative analytics tools where you can just ask a question in English language and it will give you a pretty strong answer, pretty useful answer. Not only will it tell you, what is happening. So not only will it describe the data for you, but it will also prescribe to you what you should do using that data. So it will give you not just information, but it will give you insights and it will give you actions to put into play. And it will also recommend. I mean, today it can, although not a lot of people are using it, it can tell you the roadblocks which will come in the way of executing those actions. So that kind of quantitative analytics today is possible using AI, and it is there are enough and more platforms available. The only caveat in my mind is that it is still garbage in, garbage out. So if you train an AI tool on garbage data, then you will get garbage out. My example of air travel, just because I can't fly a plane does not mean that air travel is not real. Air travel is very much real. You just need the right pilot to, man that plane. Okay, so quantitative analytics is that one space. Natural language processing, even without me describing, even without people understanding, they're already using it. The example I gave was summarization of this call, creation of reports. In the finance world, for example, there used to be a time when we had analysts whose job was to dedicatedly listen to the quarterly results of a company, and then put that out in a very simple sheet saying revenue went up because of the following three reasons. Profit came down for the following five reasons. These are the three risk areas to watch out for. So it was simple enough thing, but you still needed a human to sit down and write all of that. This thing is completely AI generatable today, right? So you don't need humans to write those kind of simple reports anymore. That is the natural language processing part combined with the quantitative analytics capabilities. Within natural language processing, one of the big fears is that a lot of kids are going to be doing all of their school homework using chatbots. That is possible today. I mean, you can do that today. Not advised, but you can do that. Now, if you're not a child, if you're beyond that point where you need help in summarizing large documents, where you need help in understanding, what simplifying the language of what you have written for a specific audience. If you're not funny, if you want to add a bit of humor in your writing, all of those things are today doable using existing chatbots. So those are some of the use cases that people today already are using even without understanding what's happening there.
That's nice, Neeraj. I think in our next podcast, we should go deep into generative AI use cases for some other sectors also, and really sort of understand what really could the perils of it be. Today we have kind of spoken more on the opportunity side. Let's talk a little more on the dangers and the perils also for generative AI, because I think there's so much that one can go deep into it. And also to this point that you mentioned, that Shrija, the workflow related, the behavioral science related flow of AI, and how that can be used to entice people to come onto your app or onto your platform. I think I would like to spend a little bit more time on that and dwell sort of deeper on that. But let's sort of wrap this conversation. Oh, one fun question, and like let's have some fun answers from you. What sort of keeps you awake in the night with this entire advent of AI? Do you think consultants and very smart people who are at this kind of salary, constituting less than a percent of this country, are really sort of also thinking about upskilling themselves? Are also losing sleep on Gen AI? What keeps
Uh,
one awake? Because it sort of strikes you when you are at that 35 to 40 age bracket that really, can I become irrelevant? And now with the face of AI, what really is that thought?
Okay. Actually, it does keep me awake, not because of fear, but because there is so much to learn and explore that I just can't sleep. I'm just, constantly reading up, studying more, and attempting things more. So therefore, it is not actually a question of becoming irrelevant. In fact, this is the fun exercise I want to give to all your listeners. Whichever area you think you are a specialist in, go to an existing chatbot, ask a question about that area and look at the answer that comes your way and analyze that answer, and you will suddenly know what what the chatbot got right and what it did not get right. And suddenly you will discover that you are not irrelevant because there is still value that you're adding. The chatbot is not able to really give you 100% the answer. Yes, the answer looks very beautiful. For someone who doesn't know better, that answer will look like a mind blowing answer. But for someone who's a specialist in the area, you will know what nuances the chatbot missed, and those are exactly the nuances which will continue to keep people like us in employment. And when I say us, meaning people who are developing specialization of some sort. The tough part about about generative AI in our business is that the difference between an average consultant and a good consultant is getting reduced because of the support of generative AI. So a very average mediocre person can also start appearing quite intelligent using generative AI without understanding what's happening behind it. Right. So initial impression will be, oh, you are charging me X dollars, the other person is charging me 20% of what you're charging, and they are giving me the same answer that you're giving. So why should I pay you 5x? Those are the some of the conversations we'll have to explain at some point.
Thanks for this, Neeraj, and thanks for being so candid and so sort of freewheeling with us. I look forward to having you again to sort of deep dive into the various realms of AI because it really is a huge ocean of knowledge out there. I mean, to sort of keep sort of diving into it and keep sort of empowering ourselves. Thank you so much. And until the time I see you next, goodbye and good luck. Thank you.